January 17th, 1943. The Pacific sun rises over the jagged cliffs of Guam, casting long shadows over the scorched airfields below. The smell of salt and smoke hangs thick in the humid morning air. Engines roar, shaking the ground as a line of American fighters taxis toward the runway. Among them, a single silhouette stands out. The F4U Corsair, its bent wings, almost grotesque to the untrained eye, glint menacingly under the pale sun. From a distant ridge, Japanese pilots peer through binoculars, their eyes narrowing at the ugly duckling of the sky. They had expected beauty, grace, and familiarity. Not this monstrous shape, so different from anything they had faced before. Laughter bubbles briefly among them, disbelief masking a seed of unease. Then, with a sudden burst of speed, the Corsair lifts into the sky. Its engine screams, its climb rate unmatched. The ridged gull wings slice through the clouds, and in that instant, the mockery turns to fear. What they had dismissed as awkward, unworthy, is now coming after them. The Pacific Air War had just gained a new predator. By early 1942, the Pacific theater is in chaos. Japan's empire stretches across Southeast Asia and the Western Pacific, seized with stunning speed after Pearl Harbor. Hong Kong has fallen. Singapore is gone. The Philippines are collapsing. Island by island, airfield by airfield, Japanese forces tighten their grip. In the sky, the Mitsubishi A6M Zero reigns supreme. Light, agile, and deadly, the Zero has humiliated Allied pilots. It outclimbs, out-earns, and outlasts nearly every aircraft it encounters. Its pilots are veterans, highly trained, confident, aggressive. 4 months, the Zero defines air combat in the Pacific. The United States is unprepared. Carriers are few. Pilots are inexperienced. Aircraft are outmatched. The Grumman F4F Wildcat is tough, but slower, forced to rely on teamwork and defensive tactics just to survive. Every sortie is a gamble. American planners know something must change. The Navy issues a demand. A fighter faster than the Zero, stronger than the Wildcat, and able to dominate at altitude. The responsibility falls to Chance Vought aircraft. At the heart of their solution is brute power. The Pratt & Whitney R28 Odo BOSP engine, one of the most powerful radial engines ever built, produces over 2,000 horsepower. No fighter currently in service can fully exploit it. Vought decides to try. The result is radical. To handle the enormous propeller required to absorb that power, engineers bend the wings downward into an inverted gull shape. The landing gear can now remain short and strong. The fuselage grows long. The nose becomes massive. The cockpit sits far back, giving pilots limited forward visibility on landing. The aircraft looks wrong. Early test flights reveal problems. Carrier landings are dangerous. The aircraft bounces. Visibility is poor. Tailhook failures and deck accidents pile up. Some Navy officials quietly suggest the Corsair may never be carrier safe. But in the air, everything changes. The Corsair is fast, over 440 miles per hour. It climbs like nothing else in the sky. It dives like a falling anvil. 6.50 caliber machine guns deliver overwhelming firepower. Most critically, it can absorb damage. Unlike the Zero, the Corsair has armor, self-sealing fuel tanks. Structural strength. Pilots can survive hits that would instantly destroy Japanese fighters. Still, doubts linger. Many American pilots call it difficult, unforgiving, ugly. Some Japanese observers, spotting it from afar, reach a simpler conclusion. If it looks awkward, it must be weak. That assumption will prove fatal. By late 1942, Corsairs reached the Pacific, not aboard carriers, but on rough island airstrips carved from jungle and coral. Guadalcanal becomes their proving ground. Marine pilots approach the aircraft cautiously. On Tigroon, it feels oversized and temperamental. Taxiing is dangerous. landings are unforgiving. The Corsair demands discipline. But once airborne, fear turns to awe. The aircraft accelerates relentlessly. It climbs away from the earth, as if pulled upward. Pilots discover they can simply leave combat by climbing something impossible in earlier fighters. The first encounters with Japanese aircraft are brief and violent. Zeros attempt, pursuit, and fail. They cannot keep up in a climb. They cannot escape in a dive. And when they turn, the Corsair simply disengages, resets, and attacks again. Japanese intelligence reports underestimate the threat. The aircraft's shape violates expectations. Japanese aviation culture values elegance, balance, visual harmony. The Corsair looks crude, overbuilt, inelegant. Reconnaissance reports label it awkward. Pilots laugh at first. By January 1943, that laughter fades. Marine squadrons use the Corsair aggressively. They climb above incoming raids. They attack from altitude. They dictate the fight. American commanders pair Corsairs with Wildcats, creating layered tactics that trap enemy formations. Japanese pilots begin returning with unsettling stories. They describe a fighter that appears suddenly from above, that cannot be caught, that shrugs off hits, that kills quickly. Confidence, errores. The Zero, once untouchable, now feels fragile. And above the Solomons, the sky itself begins to belong to something new. For pilots, the Corsair is not friendly. It punishes mistakes. It demands respect. It rewards mastery. Those who learn it feel unstoppable. Those who don't die quickly. Pilots speak of the engine's roar as something alive, a physical presence. In combat, they trust the Corsair to get them home. That trust changes how they fight. Japanese pilots feel something else entirely. Disbelief. They hesitate just long enough. The Corsair ends turning fights. It introduces vertical combat, climb, dive, strike, escape. Energy becomes everything. The Zero cannot adapt fast enough. Power, armor, firepower. The Corsair is not elegant. It is efficient, and efficiency wins wars. American commanders adapt quickly. They stop trying to make the Corsair behave like older fighters. Instead, they let it become what it is, a predator. Doctrine changes. Japanese pilots now feared the silhouette they once mocked. Reports describe panic, frustration, shock. The Corsair's greatest weapon is surprise. Ugly becomes lethal. February 1943, VMF 214, the Black Sheep enters combat. Under Gregory "Pappy" Boyington, Corsairs tear through Japanese formations. Altitude advantage, speed, firepower, Zeros fall burning. The myth collapses. By spring, the pattern is undeniable. Japanese pilots avoid Corsairs. They disengage early. Some panic outright. Control of the sky shifts. The Corsair is no longer underestimated. It is fered. Kill ratios favor Americans dramatically. Losses decline. Confidence rises. The Corsair becomes central to Pacific strategy. Production surges. Japanese tactics adapt too late. The Corsair influences doctrine, design, and morale across the war. It proves something enduring. The F4U Corsair was never meant to be beautiful. It was meant to win. Its story is not about appearance, but reality, about how assumptions kill, how innovation shocks, and how fear changes sides. In the Pacific sky, the fighter once laughed at became the one no pilot wanted to see climbing toward them. And in that climb, history tilted.